Hey there. So this is just a very quick tutorial, part of the first project Rectilinear forms on how to use our Boolean tools. Again, there's a lot more detail in the previous tutorial, but this is just a little refresher for those that are having a little bit of trouble. So the first thing that I'm going to do is give myself a couple of boxes to work with for us to test out these Boolean tools. Again, in the previous video, I go over how to make these boxes with either a rectangle tool or just another box tool. Just making some generic box shapes right now. Just gonna make it a little bit interesting. Show some diversity here and so on. So I'm gonna take this object that I just generated. Again, your objects or your model forms should be within the 4x4x4 boundary. And then we're going to jump in and do Boolean. So the most basic Boolean tool is the Boolean union, and that combines all parts. It's likely not something that we need for this assignment right now, but it's just something to understand how a Boolean works. So you see in the top bar, my command bar is at my top. Some of you have it on the side if you're working on a Mac. Again, it's a slightly different interface, but in general, wherever you see your commands, it'll ask you a few different prompts. So here I'm selecting the surfaces or poly surfaces to union. Now remember, union is to join, to make one. So I'm going to take all three of these objects and I'm going to unionize them. And so right now you see all these extra lines that came through. So rather than it being three separate pieces, this is just one solid piece. All right, and that one solid piece, when I select it in my properties, it tells me that the type is a closed poly surface, which means that the union was successful. Another common Boolean tool is the Boolean difference. Let me just make a couple more copies of these. And so yeah, let's go in and make Boolean difference. So Boolean difference is the art of subtraction. When you minus two things, you get the difference. Same thing here. So I'm going to select surface or poly surface to subtract from. So I'm going to subtract from this larger base object. So press enter, and now I'm going to select my cutting tools. Very similar to the Boolean split. I need some cutting tools to make the difference. Then I press enter, and you see that those pieces were subtracted from this base form. All right, and now I'm going to go into a Boolean split. All right, so very similar to Boolean difference, what we're going to do is take our base object that we're going to be cutting, then we're going to choose our two cutting tools, not that one. Make sure you select the right tools, then press enter. And so you will see that there were two pieces that were the result of this action. These pieces are not necessary because those were parts that were trimmed from this base object. You will notice that this base object is equal to the previous object where we have the difference. The only change between these two commands is that we still see the trimming tool. And so both of these objects were used to cut the base object. All right, so that's a basic Boolean split. I will do it one more time. Again, if I wanted to, if I'm zoomed out, if I select my object, I could just type in zoom, as for selection, get it right up in center, up front and center, and I'm gonna write Boolean split. Again, you do not need to click your command bar when you're writing these commands. You just type right on your keyboard and it will know where to go. So again, I selected my base object and now I'm selecting my two cutting surfaces. See, these are the only things connected, and I press enter, and then you see that the trimmer is produced. I did not get a Boolean fail, and so on.